Hello, welcome back to the Reading Mama. My name is Heather and I am mama to 8 children, 7 daughters, from infant all the way up to 15 and a half. And I love books, I love sharing, and I love fantasy, and so do my kids. And so I've been sharing some various, kind of doing a fantasy series share of books that we love in our home or that we've borrowed. Today I'm going to do a princess, royalty kind of focused fantasy books. These are going to be just the ones we own. There are a lot that we get from the library, and I couldn't possibly cover all of the fantasy princess books and series, but these would be some of our favorites that I love, that I would let my kids read to an extent. And so I'm going to give you some places to look and then give you some caveats about it. I'm going to start with the youngest age on mine, and that is The Birthday Ball by Lois Lowry. I would also recommend Ella Enchanted, which I believe is on one of my kids' personal shelves, which is Gail Carson Levine, but that's separate. They just have similar vibes. So in The Birthday Ball, you follow a very silly, very just goofy story. I won't lie, there's some bathroom humor, if you want to say, that my daughters didn't particularly love. We listened to the audiobook. The imagery in this particular version is it's not great. Okay, I'm not loving the art, but the story was funny, it was hilarious, and it was something we needed after I think we had just finished Howard Pyle's Robin Hood, and it had been a little too intense for us at the end. If you've read it, you know what I mean. And so we needed something light and funny, and somebody had recommended this. I love Lois Lowry. I love so many of her books. The Willoughbys are hilarious. Goodnybird Green is hilarious. Giver and Number of the Stars are serious, but wonderful books. And so we gave this one a try and really love it. And so basically, if I remember right, yes, so Princess Patricia Priscilla can think as, it's all Princess Priscilla, Patricia Priscilla, this is why we did the audiobook, can think about is being bored as her 16th birthday approaches. And so they're going to have this big birthday ball, and she's going to have all these suitors come. And so you go through all these different stories about her suitors and the silly, ridiculous things that go on for this ball, all kinds of hijinks and things. And it was just funny and silly. And so I really enjoy it. My kids loved it. It was very laugh out loud funny. This would be like a family read aloud, or I would give it to probably maybe 5th grade, like 2nd through 5th grade read. My middle schoolers wouldn't love picking this up, I don't think, by themselves, but who knows. Next, if we're going to just go in age range, would be the Gregor the Overland series. This is by Suzanne Collins. Yes, the Suzanne Collins from The Hunger Games. She first wrote this series, and this is actually book 2 of it. But in this series, you have Gregor the Overlander, who lives in New York City, and basically he falls down the rabbit hole, kind of Alice Wonderland, to an underground world where he is the chosen one, and he meets a princess there, a warrior princess, and they have some very interesting villains. It's not it's kind of dark, but it's not as dark as it seems. The covers are a little bit extreme on this one, but I do like these covers better. My kids, my oldest and I absolutely love this. It is not nearly as gruesome as The Hunger Games. And so as you follow Gregor, and his sister also is included in this story, and they help the young princess and the royal family with their on this prophecy. You're basically following the prophecy. And I will say that the last book of this, I'm pretty sure, is the first book that made my oldest cry when she read a book, because my kids are heartless. They like Old Yeller, no tears. But at the end of this, my daughter still is like, why did it end that way? I need more. And so we really loved it. If you've read The Hunger Games, then you know that Suzanne is just an amazing author, and she writes some great, intense characters with deep backstories, and you get all of that in this without because there's violence. It is a battle and war, but it is not the Hunger Games sending your kids to die gruesomeness, okay? It's not nearly as graphic. Next up, I would say the Princess Academy series by Shannon Hale, and I forget what it is. Does she do the Princess in Black? She might be the Princess in Black. My kids love those. I don't love them. So those are library books. We don't get them, but those are fun. but this particular series I did love, and I have read several other of her princessy kind of books, and they're kind of hit or miss. You really got to pre-read them. Some of them are a little more intense than others. This one we liked. So in this, you have the Princess Academy, and you have very much, they're gathering up the princesses, different women, girls from the area, and they go to this academy to possibly become the princess for the prince later on. But they have to, go to the academy and learn how to be a princess, blah, 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 and all of that. So very much like Selection or something like that, but without all the intense romance, weird nonsense that's in the Selection series, because I wouldn't recommend that series for my kids. But you have villains trying to take over the kingdom and the deal with that, and then just the sweet, very, very clean, very innocent romance between them. They're very young in this, so it's a lot of just the princesses learning to deal with one another and personal relationships, and then you have a villainous culture trying to usurp them as well. So I do like this. What is it? Oh, it's a Newbery Honor Award. I didn't even notice that, but it was a good series. I do enjoy that one. Next, we're gonna get into some YA. I'm going to share the Prince Warriors series, and I'm going to share this in another video because this is allegorical. But the Prince Warriors is by Priscilla Shirer. Priscilla Shirer is the person, if you've seen the movie Fervent, she is the main actress in that, and she is the writer of that. She is Tony Evans' daughter, who's a famous preacher. You might have heard him on the radio, seen him on TV. And she wrote this series, and it is very allegorical. Mixed reactions from my kids. I only read the first book, so I don't know. There's 4 of them, and I don't know the whole thing. I do know my oldest said she loved it. It was really good. She couldn't put it down. I know I heard about it from a friend whose teenage boys don't love to read, but they read the whole series and absolutely loved it. They did it as a family read aloud. Her husband loved it. Her boys loved it. So good for teen boys. But I will tell you that my 10-year-old, which is probably why, because she's 10. She picked it up and read it. She is a very advanced reader, but emotionally was not ready for it. Said it was too dark, gave her nightmares. She could not keep going, okay? But my oldest, who's read, Pilgrim's Progress and The Holy War by John Bunyan, said it had a lot of those kind of details, very allegorical, and continues that story. But it is kind of like a modern fantasy, because you have modern kids who, I believe, they go through like into another world, and they have to fight an enemy there. So you do have those concepts. Next up is Jennifer Nielsen, which if you've been around here, you know I love Jennifer Nielsen. I absolutely love the False Prince series by her. And also she has another one that we don't own that it would be kind of royalty kind of themed, called The Scourge, and that's a standalone. But the False Prince series follows from a boy's point of view, which, generally isn't always the favorite with girls, but my daughters who are old enough to read this have read it, definitely middle school or above. And you basically, let's see here. It's called The False Prince. I'm trying to decide what I can tell you without being spoilery. But basically there's a war in this civilization, and you learn a little bit from both sides. And they have some, here, what does it say? So they pick up 4 orphan boys to pretend to be the lost prince, and different things are discovered along the way, and there's a lot of coming of age and learning about what does really matter, what family connections matter, and things like that, because again, you're dealing with the orphan side. I forget how many books are in this series. There's several. It might be 3, I don't know. Oh, it has a map. I don't even remember that. But anyways, Jennifer Nielsen just does a phenomenal job. I think this is one of her best. I think her older books are her best. Her historical fiction's good, but her new ones have not lived up to the same writing style as these early ones. So I highly recommend these, middle school and up. Then these are going to be high school princessy books. This is a new to me. This is A Crown of Chains is a dark fantasy retelling of Queen Esther's story. I will tell you, this is intense, and actually all 3 books that I have here are intense, so I would save it for mature readers 16 and over, just because some of the concepts in it are a bit harsh, because there is forced marital relations before marriage, or, you know, concubine things alluded to. It's not graphic, it's not any of that, but it is alluded to. And so if your kids are not there yet, don't give them that would be for adults. But I would say if you have a mature 16-year-old, 17-year-old, then this might be it. If you're a mom, I would recommend it, because the rest of the book is phenomenal, but that part is very brief, but it is intense and it is harsh, and it make you cry. But that is kind of the story of Esther, if you know the books of the Bible, because King Ahasuerus, he, in the Bible, King Ahasuerus dismisses his wife, Queen Vashti, because of her not coming before him, and then he rounds up the ladies of Persia, and they come and are then his concubines, and he chooses a wife from them, and that's how Esther, you know, how that all comes about. And this is kind of an reimagining of it in a fairy tale situation, without a fairy tale ending, necessarily. I'm not giving anything away here, but it's just, it is very interesting and intense, but it is dark fantasy. But it is a very, I absolutely love it. I would recommend it. Some really amazing quotes, great characters, but it is dark. It is dark, okay? Along the lines of dark is one of my favorite princess retellings, and that's The Heir and the Spare. I would give this to maybe a 15-year-old, but otherwise I would say 16 and up, not because of anything sexual in it, but because I do remember it being very violent, because there's a lot of abuse in here. So you have the Heir and the Spare, you have the princess and her sister, and yeah, the Spare is not treated well, not by anybody, and things happen, and they're trying to save their country, and all kinds of things go awry as the oldest gets ready to marry, and all kinds of dark family secrets, all kinds of crazy things. There's a little bit of, I don't remember there being magic in it necessarily, but it is, I would say it's a fantasy because of the setting, but it is, it is intense, but it is a short book. But Kate Stradling is one of my favorites for fairy tale retellings right now. But this one is by far one of my favorite books, I think 2 years ago, just because the characters are great. The princesses are well written. One is nicer than the other. Let's put it that way. And then last I have, again, 16 and above, and that is Heart of Red, Blood of Blue. And again, I don't remember all of the things of this one. I'm going to be very honest, because I read it a long time ago. But in this one, I do remember there also being some violent bully type things. Just nothing too graphic, nothing sexual or anything like that. It was clean in that regards, if I recall. Please don't take my word for that 100%. But I do remember that. But it follows a woman who is an albino. Yeah, an albino. And so she's like been cursed is what they think. And then they're trying to basically force her to marry somebody, to make alliances, and all kinds of things are going wrong, and she tries to run away. But it just has a lot of things that you don't expect to happen. And so I really enjoyed those. But again, these three are definitely for mature audiences, 16 and above, maybe pre-read. And then the others I would recommend for middle school, high school. Middle school, high school would be these three. And then this one, middle grade, you could probably do 5th, 6th grade with this, because it is very adventurous, not very, I don't remember it being so gruesome. It is heart-wrenching though. And this one is just fun and silly, along with Ella Enchanted, which I don't have here with me. But Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine is, if you don't know, it's like a Cinderella retelling where she has to say yes to whatever anybody tells her to do. And so a lot of things happen in that one. It's very silly and fun. And I don't love all Gail Carson Levine, but that's a good one. And there's a lot of other great princessy, prince royalty fantasy books, but these are just the ones that live in our home right now. So thank you so much for watching. If you have other princessy, prince royalty fantasy books that you recommend for any age level, drop them below, because we want to help share the information and grow everybody's TBR. That's what libraries are for, right? So thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day.